wrote down some dates and history too.
Oh, okay. Hi everyone, this is Lori.
This is Sarah.
And here we are for Mindful Witchery.
Yeah, our second episode into the month of October.
Spooky!
Yay! This is a special episode. People have been asking for this one.
You guys have gotten to know us over the past, 8 weeks?
This is our 11th week.
Yeah, our 11th week.
That's crazy.
You guys have gotten to know us pretty well and on the surface, and today we're going to start talking about some things that really will let you know who we are on a very different level.
Different foundational level.
What makes us tick.
Yes. In this episode, I was telling Lori, I'm a little bit nervous. This is a very personal thing for me.
It is. It's very personal because we trust you guys. We've gotten to know you over the past few weeks, and we trust you enough to kind of let you in a little more.
You know our quirks, and
you know what we like and what we don't like, and what grinds our gears, and what we love.
Yeah, we haven't done grind your gears in a while, but I'll think of something, I'm sure, this episode. But yeah, we are going to talk about mindful witchery. Basically.
Yeah, the actual witchery part of mindful witchery.
And I think that name in general is basically the type of witchcraft I am, or type of witch that I am, is I'm a mindful witch.
Absolutely. I consider myself, and we were talking about this earlier, I consider myself to be a Buddhist witch.
That is the coolest thing. I love that.
There are people who will argue you to the ground that you cannot possibly combine Buddhism and any type of witchcraft, but you absolutely can. Buddhism allows you the freedom to be able to incorporate what works best for you to allow you to end suffering, and you absolutely can, in my eyes, be a Buddhist witch. So that's where I would consider myself.
I think that's the beautiful thing about being a witch. It can be that kind of, I was going to say agnostic, but that's not the right word. Just very fluid.
Very fluid.
And you make it work for you. It's such an individual thing. And I even know people who, really do a lot of earth-related things like farming and herbology that don't even consider themselves witches, which is totally okay. I think it's something you have to embrace.
Absolutely.
You just know. It's that encompasses who I am, and you just kind of know. And I just kind of knew.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I think it took me a long time to really just say, I'm a witch. I think it took a long time for me to do that. I mean, I'm 52 years old. And it's always been in me. My grandmother, my Grammy, was a green witch. And she was the lady in town that everybody talked about, but they came to her when their kid was sick. And she'd go out into the garden, pick some herbs, stick them in some oil, and say, do this thing.
I love that.
And it was always, she always made people better. She made people feel better, whether it was psychological or energy-wise or physically. She made people feel better. And I always knew that was where my beliefs laid, but I didn't call myself a witch. It took a long time.
It took a long time for me, too.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the past couple years when I really started to get to know myself and embrace more of who I am, and not be embarrassed by my beliefs and ideas about things, and that I stopped caring.
And it comes, and you also start to find your tribe.
Yes.
You find people who have that same common energy and kind of a common belief in energy, and you figure out that it's okay. There are really other people out there like you.
And that there's so many different facets of witchcraft, if you want to call it witchcraft, or being a witch, or mindful witchery, whatever you want to call it. Being a mindful witch, being pagan. We're going to go over all these terms.
Wiccan, whatever you want to say.
Whatever you want to say. And I know I'm going to speak for you too. We're very independent. We like working alone. So that's the other beautiful part of what we kind of practice for our own self. Being a witch is so individual, and it can be so different. But then when you do come together with like-minded people, it can be so powerful.
It really is. It's very powerful. Coming together with other people in a circle. Yeah. Especially in a circle, because a circle really symbolizes so much.
I do miss that. When I used to, if you listen to our past episodes, I used to do moon circles, meditation circles, whatever you want to call them. And I love them. I loved them so much. And because I would just show up as me, even if I had a bad day or anything, people we just sat and talked, and that to me is so powerful.
Absolutely. It's empowering.
Yeah.
It really is empowering.
Yeah, and you kind of make it your own.
It's so funny because I work a lot with crystals. That's kind of my thing. And I work a lot with crystals, and I've been working with crystals for several years now. So I know a lot about the impact of certain crystals. And I found myself the other day when I was filming the meditation classes for our local TV station that I took a lot of my crystals with me because they just give me good energy. They give me what I need. I take the crystals that I feel like I need with me. And so I have all these crystals out, and I have this giant piece of selenite that it's like a log. And for those of you who know a little about crystals, you know selenite's great for charging other crystals. So I put crystals on top of the selenite to give me just this empowering feeling. And the person who was filming the episode for the meditation class asked me about the crystals. And I found myself for like 15 minutes talking about crystals like everybody in the world was interested in crystals. Like I wasn't, before, there were a lot of times when I would go, okay, well just give me a call and we'll talk about it if you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But this was just everybody in the room. I didn't care who it was. I'm like, this is what I believe and this is what I'm going to tell you. Yep. And boom, there it all came.
Yeah. Yeah. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. This is who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. I actually really love that saying when it comes to, because people ask me all the time, like, not all the time, but, I've been asked many times, like, about, like, oh, you're a witch, and there's such a novelty about it. And to me, it's just so normal, right? Yeah. And it's
we're not the Sanderson sisters.
No, I mean, sometimes I wish.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I was.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just such, what am I trying to say? It's just, I love it because I'm such a big advocate for being self-reliant, and being a witch encompasses that for me.
It's definitely an empowering and very independent way to be.
Yeah.
Because you can be who you are in terms of being a witch, and your fellow witches are not going to judge you. They're not going to judge you whether you are a person who deals with crystals, whether you're a person who deals with herbs and crystals, whether, no matter what, you find your passion in the world of witchery, and that's what you go with, and no one judges you for that. And
if they do, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's just kind of...
those are the witches you stay away from. Yeah.
Because there are some I'm afraid of.
I mean, actually, I wanted to get into that at some point, just kind of like the cons of some of the culture, but we don't have to talk about that now. Let's talk about it later before we end.
We have so much to talk about.
We have so much to talk about.
I brought books.
Yeah, she has a stack of books on her table. We'll take a picture and put it on Instagram. But I wrote down a bunch of notes just to kind of, I know like some of the terms we're using are not in everybody's vocabulary, so this is kind of like a 101.
Yes.
Get to know us.
Witchery 101.
On a more witchery level.
Lori and Sarah 101.
So we're going to go, and Lori, just jump in. I'm just going to kind of read my notes here.
Okay.
So the history, early witches, like the 1400s, Europe tortured a lot of witches. I'm going to start there. I think witches can be found in so many different cultures, you guys. Like, even some of our unwritten history, some type of, and it wasn't always called that, shamanism, or there's another word. There's so many other words for it.
And you have to remember, people really persecute and dislike and hate what they don't understand. Exactly. And during the 1400s, when you didn't have science to back up something, you kind of made up things.
Yes. Yeah, it was demons or...
It was God punishing you. It was witches. It was, a million different things because you didn't have science to back it up.
Especially when Catholicism kind of took over. And it was around then, the 1400s, and kind of that... I think it was about 100 years later, but like the Puritan mindset started taking over.
Creepy.
And the church, if you didn't follow what they wanted you to follow, this very rigid,
dogmatic,
very black and white, God or the devil, demons, then you must be a witch. Right. And it was almost their type of, I'm going to say it, it was the church manipulating people into thinking a certain way. And if you didn't, or you didn't act a certain way, many women, you are a witch, especially women who are not married, widows, spinsters, if that's what you call it. Those were mainly the people who were tortured and burned and killed. Between 1500 and 1660, 80,000 were put to death all through Europe.
Isn't that unbelievable?
And actually, I read that most of it was in Germany. So, which actually sparked some interest for me too. Not that I wish they didn't die, but if they still have graves for these people, even if they burn them because of witchcraft, because I was supposed to go there. So I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. Maybe I can find something on it. That would be really fascinating. So it was mostly the Protestants and Catholics. And then the idea of witches and that whole thing as Christianity spread went over to the New World. And most people know about the Salem witch trials, 1692. It started pretty much by two little girls, Abigail Williams and Elizabeth Parrish. I think it's pronounced Parrish. Do you know?
I think it's Parrish.
Parrish? Yeah, it's spelled Parris, but I believe it is Parrish. And they were 9 and 11. And they started having fits. And that one thing led to another. And about 18 people were killed.
Wasn't it like 18 people and one dog?
Was it one dog?
I think there was one dog.
I didn't know about the dog. Have you ever been to the Salem Witch Museum?
Yeah.
How cheesy it is?
It is. It's so cheesy.
It's so cheesy. Oh my God.
And the weird thing about Salem proper, like Salem now, like if you say, oh, it's Halloween, I want to go to Salem. Salem, where Salem is now, isn't Salem of old.
Nope.
Like you can get, it's really easy to get confused. You can go to Salem and never see actually the burial area or the tree or anything like that because it's not
there.
Salem now.
Yeah.
So it's really weird.
A lot of it took place in Marlborough, and I believe maybe Danvers, possibly. I don't know 100% of my facts. Kind of like all the town dynamics changed. But there was about 150 people who were actually like tried, but only 18 got killed.
Can you imagine being that afraid? I mean, because it all kind of comes down to fear.
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown. And, I mean, people who had medical issues, people who had fits, or people who, had any type of strange medical anomaly, something like that, or physical anomaly, got contributed to being a witch.
Yep.
And that's so scary now to think that
it still happens.
Yeah, it still happens.
I was reading about it, and it was fascinating because that's kind of looking at it through the eyes of my culture, right, and my education. And there's still cases where people are being murdered because people accuse them of being witches. South America, Africa, Papua New Guinea. There was actually one recently, I think it was 2019.
And even going to the honor killings, even going to things like honor killings in India and Pakistan, places like that, where, women haven't committed a crime, but because of some little thing, some little anomaly, they are punished and killed because of that. So we have this really innate fear of things we don't understand and things that we don't get.
Yeah. And there's a whole gender thing too, which has been popping up a lot for me lately, is most of the people who have been killed because they were accused of witchcraft are women. And that says something to me, the opinion of women in their roles, and if they didn't follow their roles.
Women are wicked.
Women are wicked by nature.
Women have the potential to be, all the way back to biblical times. Eve. Women are evil, that we are the epitome of trickery and sorcery and things like that. I think people still have that. We still have that stigma attached to us.
Generational stigma. Yeah, and you could still see it, whether it's witchcraft or not. I mean,
we are wily and tricksy.
I mean, sometimes, but not all the time.
I think men can be just as wily and tricksy as we can. Yeah,
and definitely, not to leave men out of this, but men were killed too. They definitely were. And I can imagine too, I wonder, I don't know much about the history of the men that were killed, but I wonder if they were gay.
It could be.
Maybe they had more feminine features or more feminine mannerisms and stuff. I wonder if it was any type of something like that, you know what I mean? They weren't manly enough, so they were...
I mean, look, yeah, it's... That's why the Puritans... I can't even watch movies about Puritans most of the time because they scare the snot out of me, man.
That's why The Witch scares me so much.
They do. And like the Scarlet Letter, even the Scarlet Letter scared me.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote about things that were really happening in Salem at that time. I mean, can you imagine just being singled out because people didn't understand who you were?
Or even and most of these people weren't even practicing witchcraft.
True witchcraft.
Yeah,
right.
true. Like Rebecca Nurse, for example. She was one of the people who got killed. She was a little old lady. She's my great times a lot grandmother. So, I've looked into her story, and she was just some old lady. I don't think she really did anything herb related. But a lot of people, that's kind of the thing too, is a lot of people back then depended on the earth for healing. They depended on herbs and concoctions and tinctures and everybody.
Sure.
Right? It's kind of hypocritical, why people would all of a sudden say it's evil, even though it was the thing that was saving their life.
And they would go to, the people who were practicing herbalism, people would condemn them for it, but then they would go to them when their child was sick. Yeah. It's so, the hypocrisy cannot be denied.
I mean, you can kind of see that today, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely. You deny it until you need it, right? And people would go in the middle of the night and get love potions and make their husband love them and things like that. You believe it when you need it, I guess. But
I guess when it's convenient for you.
When it's convenient for you.
When you need it, yeah.
So I know there's a lot more history within that with witchcraft. So traditionally right now, there is a difference between being a witch, and there's actually a formed religion called Wicca. It's an official, actually, religion within the United States.
It is. And you know what's really cool about Wicca is, and I just found this out actually researching this recently, is the Wiccan symbol has been added to the list of things that veterans can have put on their tombstones.
No way.
Yes. It was added in 2015.
Oh, that's so cool.
The Wiccan symbol is now officially in there with the cross, with the
awesome.
Yes.
Sweet. Yeah, and I mean, I think it should be. I think
Absolutely.
For something that's important for people like that, it should be. Just like it has the same validity in my eyes as the cross.
Sure.
Right? It's a symbol.
Star of David.
That means something to somebody.
Yep.
And their official motto is harm none. They are not what you think. A lot of people think they're devil worshipping, sacrificing babies and goats and
Nature is their thing. The earth is their thing.
They practice peace and tolerance and nature and not harming people. You don't cast spells to hurt people because they also believe that what you do to others, you get back threefold. So there's this threefold thing happening. I've dabbled into more traditional Wicca, but I'm not into that structure. And they follow the Book of Shadows, which is kind of like this wisdom and has prayer and healing, and if you want to call them spells, or just all different types of things.
And they have the whole philosophy of, just like every other religion has its own way of saying it, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Every religion has that philosophy in different words, and Wicca is no different.
Yeah, and people who practice Wicca too, a lot of people, they're in covens. So a coven, like I said again, just doesn't worship the devil. That's what I keep reading. It's just people think they worship the devil. I'm like, that's all in the movies, y'all.
There is Satanism.
Oh yeah, that's totally different.
It's totally different. It's, and for some reason the poor Wiccans have gotten grouped in with the Satanists, and there's really no connection whatsoever between those two things.
Yeah.
That's all going back to a very puritanical belief.
To scare you. Yeah, and people were Satanists. That's fine too. Yeah, that's a whole different podcast. It's actually not what a lot of people think, which is funny to me. Yeah.
Nobody's out there sacrificing babies, folks.
No, guys. I mean, other people are, but they're probably not Satanists.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure there are people doing all kinds of things that we don't know about.
Yep.
But Satanists aren't the ones, and neither are the Wiccans.
No. Yeah, and some terms, we've mentioned paganism. So everybody who is a witch and everybody who practices Wicca are pagans, which is basically this umbrella term for nature religion.
Mm-hmm.
So basically under this, you could see all throughout history, there's different things like I mentioned before, like shamanism, Hinduism actually is one too, being a druid, druidity, I think that's how you call it. Also like Celts and Anglo-Saxons, and pretty much they go by the seasons and the moon. It's all very nature-based.
Shintoism also has a section of
oh, okay. Yeah, and I'm sure there's a bunch of others.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who just call themselves witches take kind of a very like blended approach, like I said earlier, where they kind of take what works for them from all these different facets. So I know people who practice more shaman witchery, and I did for a very long time. And I'll explain later why I don't anymore. Or I know people who are so like very Wiccan, like every day they do their rituals, they go to coven meetings, and it's very ritualistic, which that's fascinating to me. It's not my thing at all.
I'm not. I can't. It's very hard for me to get into that whole very kind of straightforward, every day the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's hard for me.
Yeah. And what's the name of? I was trying to think. The name. So a lot of people are in that. I'm not saying everybody. So forgive me if you get offended by this, but it's a lot of a group of people following one person. So there's usually like a priestess or a priest that runs the group. And what I've seen is it's usually kind of the same thing as a church, where the one person runs the group, which I don't think it's all bad, especially if the priest or priestess has the right intention, but it also gives way to open the door for people who do not have the right intention. And I think I've seen situations where it kind of falls into the same, like, people following this person blindly and just doing these things and not really believing in it.
And that happens so often in every religion.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, the one of the biggest things that differentiates just a witch from a Wiccan is that Wiccans do tend to, and forgive me if I'm not saying this right, but Wiccans tend to need a group.
Yes.
Where witches are often very individual.
Yeah, I find that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're a Wiccan, you are a witch. But if you're a witch, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a Wiccan. But we're all pagan. So I think, like, sometimes people ask me, I'm like, oh, I'm pagan. Because I feel like that's a little more accepted sometimes. Like, there's certain people I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm pagan. Like, for my wedding, I had my friend Dan we had a hand fasting ceremony, which is very pagan. You see that in, like, especially like Druid culture. He read this thing. It was beautiful. It's not something I practice every day. I don't read prayers every day or anything like that, but it was beautiful. And I had like feathers around, and my friend built this beautiful just altar for me, and I'm sure nobody knew what the hell it was, but it was, you know, it meant a lot to me to have that as part of it. And even it's not stuff I practice every day, but
it's who you are.
It's who I am. I feel it in my bones. Even talking about this, I feel like I turn into a different person. Like, I'm getting very serious. It's like I'm not as like animated about it because it's a part. I don't talk to anybody about this.
You're getting to know us on a different level. This is what is so important to us, and it's such an individual piece of who we are, but yet there's connections.
Yeah.
It's I was saying earlier, we were talking earlier today about how witches are so individual, but at the same time there is an energy piece that clicks us all together.
Correct. Yeah.
That we all believe in the just innate power of energy and the good and the bad that it can produce based on your intention. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing with witches is intention. What's
Very
your
much so.
It affects everything. I mean, whether you believe in things like binding ceremonies where you are binding somebody to do no harm to you or to themselves.
Yeah.
Your intention has everything to do with whether something like that works, because intention is energy.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's like, it's hard to explain because it sounds so woo-woo, but it's not at all. It's actually science, people, everything is energy.
Physics. It's physics.
And I was joking earlier with Lori that I'm kind of like, right now I'm going to school for psychology. And I've been learning so much that doesn't necessarily conflict with how I feel about things, but it gives me a different perspective. And I feel like my view on witchcraft right now is a lot more even than it ever has been, because
solid.
It's so much more solid. I've gotten rid of some things that I practice because of it, because it just doesn't make sense in my life anymore.
I've gotten rid of some people because of it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, guys, that goes with any kind of renewal. Whether you're no matter what kind of transition you're going through, whether it's really focusing on your witchery, whether it's focusing on anything, you have to clean your closet.
Yep.
And you have to align yourself with people whose energy either it matches yours, but not necessarily, but supports your energy.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you have to have the courage to let them go.
Yeah.
And things and habits, old habits, which are almost harder than getting rid of people.
Yeah.
But you have to look at what aligns with your energy, and anything that's not within that, just fold it out.
Yeah.
It's part of transition.
Yeah.
It's part of becoming who you're meant to be. Is getting rid of the things that don't allow you to be what you're meant to be.
Approaching it as a witch, it's like a lifestyle. Being so aware of the energy around you and making a conscious effort to interweave it in your life. There's so many benefits.
And it hones your senses. Like, I feel like I'm so much more sensitive to everything. My sense of hearing, sight, smell, taste, touch. It's all so much deeper with my practice than if I don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, when you need it, right? Like, sometimes
you know
I'm
you
like,
need.
I need to just go lay in the grass. Like,
yeah,
and it's not like I lay there talking to each blade of grass or anything, which is cool if you do. You do you. But it's more this grounding and connection, and that's why I think being a mindful witch is so good, because we're mindful of the things around us and we recognize it, and we recognize our role in it,
and how we play with that and against that. We understand how everything relates to us, and I think that one of the biggest things that I learned is that the idea of cause and effect. Everything you do affects someone or something else.
Yes.
Every decision you make, every action you take has an effect on everybody else and everything else. And if you kind of look at it like, I look at it like a web. Like, I always visualize it as my crown chakra at the top of my head. And I always think about how that spreads out into a web of things, like my connection to the grass, to that rock over there, to the TV, to another person, to thousands of other people. Everything I do rings through that web and affects them in some way. And the same thing holds true for others and for other things. Everything they do and every action they make affects you. So it makes you very mindful of the things that you do and the things that you say and the feelings that you have and the intent that you have. Yeah. When you're aware of that. Cause and effect is a huge piece of witchery.
Same. I really like the way you describe that. Kind of like a web. Like,
it's a web.
And I think, like, personality-wise, I think we were just born empathetic. So almost using witchcraft as like a lens to better be able to see our natural abilities a little bit better, and just see this cause and effect is profound. And I think it's one of the reasons why I love psychology so much. I'm able to understand it on a different level than maybe some of my other classmates. I'm not setting myself apart. I'm not the smartest person, but I'm noticing in our interactions and some of the papers I'm writing, and I'm like, wow, like, I'm kind of seeing this a little bit different because of my understanding of energy and how when you act this way, it affects the whole family and it affects the whole thing. And I think, like, because I am a witch, in understanding that energy, it's going to make me a better therapist or scientist, whatever I decide to go into. Just because I understand Earth. I understand how the Earth's energy works. on an energetic level.
Well, and we understand how important it is to be connected to Earth. How important it is to be grounded. I mean, I sometimes need it so much that I just need to walk outside in my bare feet and just be in the grass. That's all there is to it. It's very simple. Just walking in the grass, putting your foot in a stream, putting your hand in the water, putting your hand on a tree branch, feeling the petals of a flower. It's all grounding, and it keeps you balanced. And I think mindful witches are very in touch with that piece of them. We need grounding. We can't live without being grounded.
Do you feel that this year has hurt your practice at all?
I think it's strengthened it, if anything. I think it really has. It's given me, one of the things it's given me personally is time.
Yeah.
I think that I've had the luxury of time to be able to read and to hone my craft and to understand my craft more, and to really, when I'm meditating, to meditate on some of the things that I practice. So I think it's given me the luxury of time, be able to really hone in on my craft. What's
kind of
important
like
to me.
heightened parts of it that you wanted to dive into. That makes total sense.
What about you?
I wouldn't say it hurt it, but the things I used to do as part of that part of my life, it was very woven in with my job.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually realize till it was taken away how much meditation, so pretty much, if you didn't know, COVID's going on right now, and I'm a massage therapist and I teach wellness classes, I'm a meditation instructor, all the above. And so when COVID happened, I stopped doing all those things. And I realized very quickly, because I was home all the time, I stopped meditating and I stopped being able to go outside, and I just stopped. I just stopped it all. And I didn't realize I was doing it until, I would say, the past month or two, that my connection to the outside was totally severed. And during that time, I would go outside and do stuff, but I even still now, I'm coming back, but I feel so disassociated from the outdoors. And because whenever I go outside now, there's in the woods, there's other people now. And the places I used to go,
everybody's dying for some type of
get out of
outdoor.
my space. This is my space. Yeah. So it's
too people-y.
Yeah. But also, I think on the positive side, it has totally heightened other parts of my awareness of myself. That was an intricate part of, I'm a better person now because of COVID. I feel, which is going to strengthen my practice when I'm ready to go back into it. Because I don't really celebrate any of the holidays, really. I mean, sometimes I do, but it's not part of that ritualistic part for me. To me, it's daily meditation, taking care of myself, taking care of my house, my surroundings. That's
really being conscious.
That's witchcraft too, people. Yeah. That's very important. What's that book you have there?
I was just picking this book out of my pile of books over here that I put because it made me think of something that you said. This book is called Raise Your Vibration. It's 111 practices to increase your spiritual connection.
Oh, neat.
And it's by Kyle Gray. You can find it on Amazon. I'll actually put up the link later on our Instagram page. But this book talks about how you can integrate energetic practices into your everyday life. And one of the things that I think really hit me about this book, I mean, all of the things that they talk about are real and ways to integrate it into your life. But one of the things that really hit me was my work life and my personal life were completely separate. So one day, this was before COVID, obviously. One day I went into work and I just took a bunch of stuff with me. I took crystals. I took, I had all kinds I had a Buddha with me. I had my fountain with me. I have big obelisk crystals, and I took those in with me, and I put them in my office, and I put up a chakra wall hanging, and tried to incorporate what's in my house with what's at work.
Yeah.
And honestly, you would not believe the change in my feelings and my spirit and my energy in the workplace when I did that.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether part of me was resistant because I was embarrassed I don't know. But with this newfound empowerment, I didn't care who walked into my office, and I didn't really care what they thought about it. Nobody said anything, but I didn't care if they did or not.
Yeah.
And people were in and out of my office all the time.
That's so cool.
So my office looks like my house. And I know you can't do that if you're a lawyer.
Yeah.
I get that. I know you can't do that in your doctor's office. But I am a director at a family center. So I can do that.
Yeah, totally.
And I felt so much more energy, positive energy, and I didn't get stressed. Like, there would be things that would happen at work that normally would have stressed me the hell out. And they didn't anymore. And I have every belief that it was because I integrated that piece of me into my workplace. And that was one of the suggestions that came in this book, Raise Your Vibration by Kyle Gray. I highly recommend it. If you are wanting to find ways to become better in touch with your spirituality or your energy level, there's some really good practices in here that you can do some are daily practices, some are monthly practices, some are things that you just do once and it just changes everything.
That's so cool.
I highly recommend Raise Your Vibration.
I'm going to buy that. I want to read that now.
It is a wonderful
I've never heard
book.
of it.
Wonderful book. Came highly recommended to me.
Yeah, I love how you did that, because it's like you made the decision to integrate yourself in with your space, because work is such a big part of who we all are, whether we like it or not.
We spend more time
at work. We spend so much time at work, and it's one of the reasons why I got into running my business, doing meditation, because it was stuff I did anyway. So, like, kind of when that was taken away, it opened up my eyes so much. It strengthened so much. So I'm at this point where I'm so ready to get back into it now that I'm in school. So I'm in school full time, and just integrating now these two parts of myself. And I feel like I almost needed to let go of that fully witchy, holistic wellness world thing, so I can just step out of it and take what I know and be able to integrate it into this next more sciencey other part of my brain that I love, that I hasn't been nurtured for so long. I love school, you guys. I love it so much.
If I could get paid to go to school, I would go to school all the time. And you're right. I think when you can take part of what is your passion and things that you really have integrated into your life spiritually, physically, mentally, and you can take that and put it into something, you put it into everything.
Yeah.
You can take that and use any context and put it right into where it needs to be and use it for what it needs to be and get rid of the things that you don't need.
Yeah.
That's the beauty, I think, of mindful witchery is we use what we need when we need it. Because there's times when I don't need certain things.
Yeah.
There's times when I don't need certain crystals. There's times when I don't need to read my tarot every day. It's, there's all kinds of things that you can incorporate or choose not to incorporate that makes it such a beautiful practice.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to make it more everyday ritualistic, because that's your type of personality, go for it. I'm too ADD for that.
Yeah, me too.
I just do what feels right, and I know it's like instinct. I've developed my instinct when it comes to that, is I know what I need when I need it, and I recognize transitions in life when they happen now more strongly than I
and the build up to a transition.
Yes,
is something.
Feel it.
You can feel the build up. Yeah,
like I just went through one. And I think I took the step from transition to the other now that I'm in school, but I spent months knowing that this was it. My whole life is different now. Whole life is different. I went from running a holistic practice to being in school full time, but I felt it. But part of my practice is knowing that. And
I think another important piece of that is that we recognize that in people as well. Yeah. I think that you recognize build up better. So you can kind of counteract before a person gets upset or before a person gets sad or angry about something. You can see the build-up so much better when you practice mindfulness.
Yeah.
I can look at my husband and go, and he walks through the door, and I know the buildup of frustration from work or whatever it is, I can see it so clearly. And I can even see it in people I don't know very well.
Yep.
And people think that's some kind of psychic thing. And I'm like, no, it's simply being aware. It's being
aware.
mindful of something outside of your own groove.
Mm-hmm.
And witchery, mindfulness practice helps you be aware of everything, not just, and it's scary sometimes because you're so aware that you almost step into it.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware of that. It's okay for me to know it, but I'm not going to step into it. So mindfulness is everything. It really is everything. It's such a general term, but it is everything. That's what mindful witchery is about. Taking those practices and taking those, the idea of energy and nature and incorporating those things into your life so that it makes you more aware.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yep,
really.
That's it.
And you take it, and basically it's like, that's the clay.
How about that for a definition?
Right? That's the clay, and people mold it how they want.
I couldn't say that again if I tried, but I mean,
it was perfect. It was beautiful.
And there's so many ways like to hone your energy levels. And I mean, we have been through so many different classes between the two of us.
My God.
With different ways. We've taught classes. We're going to continue to teach classes. We've meditated. We have done Reiki practice. We have done tarot. I mean, I read tarot cards. We've done so many things. We've done
so many things. And half of them I don't even use, but I know that they exist.
Absolutely.
And you learn from every class you take, like essential oils and all this stuff. And
it comes down to all of it, no matter what you're practicing. If you love tarot cards and you want to learn more about tarot cards and you are the tarot card guru and that's what you love, then do it. And have an intention with it. Yeah. Have an intention, whether it's to do good by people or to help people focus on something positive, or whether it's to just tell the truth outright, no matter good or bad. It's having an intention. Having an intention for everything that you do is so important. Yeah. And I find that with me, sometimes when I'm feeling low energy, or if I'm feeling like I need a pick-me-up of some sort, my get up and go is done got up and went, and I need something, I've sat here and I'm looking at my books, and I'm just thinking in terms of recommendations for books for people, to kind of hone in on energy. Can we talk? Is that okay? Can we talk about that?
Oh no, go keep on talking.
It's such a pile of stuff.
She's got so many cool books here.
I have a lot of books, and I don't, and as much as I love my Kindle, my husband got me a Kindle for Christmas 2 years ago with the promise that I would not collect books anymore. He said, you can put 1 million things on a Kindle. Just get it on a Kindle. I'll get you the membership to Amazon where you pay $10 a month and you can download any book you want to. Nope, didn't stop me. I still have like 20 bookcases in the house.
Sorry, Roger. Okay. It's just not the same.
It's not happening. I like the smell of books. I like the way they sound when you turn the pages. I love all that.
Oh, like the floop?
Yes. Oh. Now, I know iPad has a thing where you can do that. It'll make the sound, but it doesn't have the smell. So it's only half there.
I always, we were talking about this, how that all of a sudden they'll be they're going to start something and they'll put a puff of the smell just to come out when it goes.
She needs a puff of smell. So I have several books here, and these are all books that mean a lot to me. I mean, these are just recommendations, and I will put the links. I promise. It might take me a little while. Some of these actually don't have links. Some of these books are old. So, it'd be hard to find them. One I found in an antique store. So, I don't know if it'll be able to be found, but I wanted to share it anyway. I have the Chakra Bible. It's on Amazon.
That's a really cool book.
It's called The Definitive Guide to Working with Chakras. It's all the Bible books. There's a Reiki Bible, there's a Chakra Bible, there's a Crystal Bible. I have all those. But the Chakra Bible is particularly good. It kind of gives you good definitions of what a chakra really is, and also how to exercise and make those chakras healthy inside of you. So that's a good one. I had the one we talked about, Raise Your Vibration, which is by Kyle Gray. It's the one about how to have simple things in your life that will allow you to connect with your energy. I have one called The Wheels of Life. It is by Anadea Judith, PhD. She talks about the chakras in terms of how to align your chakras and how to practice with them, and intentions concerning chakras. So I could talk forever about chakras.
And not all witches work with chakras,
right?
Either. So that's important to say. That's like a different facet that people can use.
Not all witches do tarot.
Oh, no.
That's another thing. Oh, not all witches do tarot.
Well, after you do the book recommendations, I actually have a list of the different types of witches that there are.
Perfect.
We could talk about that.
This one is called The Invention of Nature. This is one I just discovered. This is a book actually scientifically based about how energy connects to nature and physics. This is a great book.
Where did you get that?
It's by Andrea Wolf. It's relatively new. It won the Science Book Prize in 2016.
Oh, I'm going to buy that.
It's a very good one.
I'm going to buy that. The cover on that's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. I have another book called The Modern Herbal Dispensatory. This is for you green witches out there who love to work with herbs. It is a medicine making guide. It's so cool. To tinctures. There's recipes for tinctures. There's recipes for all kinds of different essential oil remedies, all kinds of things. It's a great book. It's kind of a reference for me. I look up things like for bug bites all the time because I have 2 kids who get bug bites constantly. I have one called The Mindful Witch.
Are you kidding?
Yes, The Mindful Witch. I really encourage you, whether you are practicing witchery or not, I really encourage people, Sarah, to keep a journal. And The Mindful Witch is a daily journal for manifesting a truly magic life. And it's by Jen Stevens. And it's got all kinds of different questions for every day.
That's gorgeous.
And it's a gorgeous book. And you can write in it. And you can write your thoughts about the answers to the questions. And it's some really, some information about the holidays.
That's so cool.
The witchery holidays.
Beautiful.
It is a gorgeous book. And I have a book on, I have a tarot journal. So those of you who are interested in tarot, this is a tarot journal. It is a coloring book of shadows. And you can go in, I don't color, so that's not my thing. But it's got some really interesting questions about tarot, and it gives you different ways to arrange the cards, different displays of cards. So that's a really good one. I have a book on shamanism.
That's a great book.
As a spiritual practice for daily life. That's a great basic for shamanism. I didn't bring the books with me to the table, but anything about the natural world. I really like to read books or essays by Ralph Waldo Emerson. I like to read essays by John Muir. Those are some, I'll put some links to some books for those too. They're usually essay collections. I read those. And this one, I love this.
That's pretty too.
It's called The Nature Notes of an Edwardian Lady. Her name was Edith Holden, and she was a female naturalist. And it's got the months of the year and her drawings and poems about each month of the year. It is just gorgeous. I got this in an antique store, so I don't know if you can buy it now. I'm not really sure. But it's called The Nature Notes of an Edwardian Lady by Edith Holden. And if you ever want to get grounded, take this book outside and just read.
Is that her on the back?
That is her on the back. I've got to take pictures of this.
Yeah.
So those are just some of my favorite books that I use when I'm feeling disconnected, or if I'm trying to learn something new about my own energy.
Yeah.
So just a few thoughts on ways to raise your vibration and connect with energy, whether it's through nature or through chakras or through tarot cards or through whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Whatever works for you. Whatever you connect with. That's kind of the beauty of it. I have one book that's not witchy related at all, but it actually helps me in my practice. It's called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She actually wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh.
This book is about creativity, and it is my go-to book. I have it next to my bedstand. I just pick it up and read it, and it's all about being creative, and it's about energy and how it works for artists, and
I need to read that.
Allowing yourself to just flow, just giving yourself permission. And she explains like ideas as things that come to you, and if you don't catch it, it just goes on to somebody else. So it's kind of like when somebody else near you does this thing that you've been thinking about for months and you just never got it, but they went and did it and they're like, it's my idea. That's kind of it. It's like, I'm not explaining it well, but I think it's the best book she's ever written. It's beautiful. I think she's a cool lady.
I think if there is a weakness that I have, it's the fact that I don't understand my own creativity. I mean, in terms of, like, I feel like there is so much artist in me in some way, and I feel like it's starting, you know how you have like a wall and there's a crack in the wall and the light comes through and it's just starting to break open, like, and I feel like that's going to be photography.
Yes. It's going to start oozing out.
I feel like it's photography.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this little flame growing and growing.
I'll help you with that flame.
I've always said I'm not a creative person. I'm not a creative person. And my husband always tells me, Roger always says, you don't realize, because what you do isn't maybe the traditional creativity. It's like, but you've always been creative in everything that you do. But to me, I associate creativity with art.
Yeah.
And I don't associate with what I do on a daily basis. And I've always felt like I wanted to do something artistic. Something in me says that there's something there and I've tried so many things.
Yeah.
I've tried so many things. And the only thing that really sticks and I go back to is photography.
Photography. Yeah. I love photography. That's where I started. That's what I went to school for initially, but it's a beautiful thing because it helps people see the world through your eyes. And I think that's really beautiful. And
I love the editing process. I love going in and changing the colors, changing it to black and white's my favorite.
Oh yeah,
I love doing black and white and changing things around, cropping it to where you're centering it on something, and really honing it to where it's what you meant it to be. I could spend hours on one picture.
Oh, it's easy. Yeah, it's so easy to do. Yeah, and like that's part of our practice too, is being creative, doing art. Drawing for me, that's it, and that's not something I've done for months either.
I love your art. I absolutely love it so much.
I haven't shared any of my art.
You need to share your art because it's fantastic.
So that's another thing. So I ran an illustration practice for a while, or like a business. I would do craft shows and stuff, and I draw a lot of, when I finally like figured out it was something that I loved and people really reacted to it, it was such an integrated part of my life. It's part of my practice is drawing, and I draw a lot of spooky stuff.
And it's but it's spooky, but it's not scary.
No, it's not scary.
It's the best. We have to put up a picture of my Agatha.
Yes. Yeah, we'll do that too.
She is the cutest, most adorable witch in the world, and she's just the little mischievous glint in the eye. She's perfect.
I love those witches. I do a lot of witches and ghosts and skeletons.
And you're going to be doing more of that because later we're going to be talking about something exciting.
We have some cool things happening.
Yes, cool things happening.
So that will get me back into my creative witchery. Ooh, I'm a creative.
You're a creative mindful witch.
The other word I came up with was I'm a very curious witch. I can't stop learning. And that's the evolution of it.
If you ever stop learning, guys, I just feel really so compelled to say this. When you stop learning, you're dead, basically. Yeah.
I have such a hard time being around people who are just stuck.
I'm so inquisitive about everything.
Yeah, I just can't. It's like it almost hurts me to be around people who don't want to learn. My head even hurts thinking about it.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
Yeah.
Because so much of our energy, your energy and my energy, goes into learning new things every single day.
And experiencing and everything. And like that, to me, is my value. It's my life. It's
That's
education.
Absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we both struggled so long with like trying to fight against that. Or like trying to surround ourselves with people who, be like, why aren't these people like, why aren't these people,
what are they doing?
What are they doing? Like, and I tried
what
to
are they not doing?
Yeah, I tried to put my excitement about it on other people, and I realized that I can't do that because nobody's ever going to be excited about learning about rocks as I will be, or learning about mental illness as I will be.
Nobody is as interested in learning about cemeteries as I
No.
am. You know, nobody's going to be that interested in something. And that's what's hard. That's what's so hard. I think that when I first started teaching English, when I first got out of college, I started out as an English teacher. And it hurt me so much that everybody wasn't as excited about Thoreau and Emerson as I was. It hurt me. I mean, it physically hurt. Yeah. And that's why I stopped teaching English, because I needed to save that for myself.
Yes. Yeah.
Eventually, I figured out I have to save that for me. Mm-hmm. And I can talk to, people who have like-mindedness about that, instead of talking to kids who just maybe one out of the 26 of them in the overcrowded classroom was interested. Yeah. And it just hurt. It physically hurt me. Mm-hmm. And the same thing is like with when I start to talk about things like crystals, or, it physically just hurts. Or fun fact, I learned something today. It might have nothing to do with anything remotely important, but by golly, I'm sharing it. And one of the things I love about my kids is that they do that. Mm-hmm. Matthew especially, he'll say, fun fact.
Oh my God.
And he'll give me some really just obscure, random fact.
I do that too.
Yeah, fun fact. And I'm used to my fun fact days.
I love fun fact days. Yeah. You should learn something new every single day.
Even if it's not going to affect your life in any way whatsoever.
You may not even remember a couple days from now, but it will be in there.
Fun fact.
Somewhere. Fun fact. You should be learning.
Learn something new every day. That's kind of a promise I've always made to myself. Is learning something new every day. It keeps the day exciting. It keeps you fresh. It keeps you new. It keeps your energy renewed.
Yep. Keeps you young.
There you go.
Keeps you young.
And this coming from an almost 52-year-old woman who people say I'm 12 at best.
I still can't believe you're 52. It blows my mind. We're an hour in, but I did want to go over different types of witches.
Yes. Let's keep going.
Yeah. So I wrote down a bunch that I knew, and then I looked up some. So I'm just going to go down the list and briefly describe. So there's sea witches, who work a lot with water in the ocean, and pretty much water. That's pretty much their element, their thing. Green witches, which is a lot of ancient folklore. They work a lot with plants. Deviation type witches, which is tarot and astrology and palmistry.
I wish I understood astrology.
It blows my mind. Yeah, that's a tough one. Kitchen witch, which is very practical magic. If you've ever seen practical magic, it's very house-based. It's very home-based. Very, I don't know, is there any other words to describe a kitchen witch?
It's domestic-based.
Yeah, very domestic-based. Hedge witch, which is very earth-based. I would say shamanistic witches are more hedge-based. It's very working with your ancestors and very ancestral. You do things like scrying, things like that.
Scrying scares me a little.
Meditation. I used to do journeying. Part of my shamanic workshops I used to do.
And those are fantastic. I mean, you really... there's sometimes with shamanic journeying that it opens this door that never closes. Yeah, it opens doors that just never close.
I'll say these, and then I'll talk about my shamanic journey. Then the hereditary witch, which you're born into it. Like you are born into your family of witches, and that's
welcome to the family.
Welcome to the family. And then I would say what I'm at is the eclectic witch, which you have no type, and you just borrow from all the other ones and what works for you. I like or Gnostic witch. It's the other word for
exactly. That. You can, and that's the freedom and the beauty of it is that you can take from whatever you choose to take from and make it work for you.
Because it's not all going to work for you, and it's part of the journey. A great example is Lori uses crystals, and I have absolutely no attachment to crystals whatsoever.
My house is like a crystal cave.
But when I'm in here, because it's Lori's energy and with her crystals, I feel it. But I don't work with crystals. I don't work with stones. I don't work with...
And some people work with essential oils. Yeah. Some people really, that's where their passion lies. Yep. And that's something I can't really identify with.
That was when I tried it out. Wasn't really my thing. I think a lot of that had to do with kind of the hype with it too. I had a really hard time people abusing it the way it is, which is going to be part of our wellness world mic drop episode, which is going to be coming probably after this month.
Yes.
We got a lot to say about that. But so the same thing with astrology, tarot cards.
I'm kind of all over the place because I do tarot, I do crystals, you know, and I don't always do either of those. You know, it's sometimes I just don't, you know, I need water. Like sometimes I need to be near water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to the point
ADHD witches.
Yeah, that should be a new category. You're an ADHD witch.
Yeah.
I do what I need to do based on how I'm feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's times when I need water. I mean, I literally am going out of my mind trying to find water because it soothes me. It's where I need to be at that time. And then there are times when I need to just be out in the woods. Yeah. There are times when I need my crystals, specific crystals on that day. It's really starting to look like a crystal cave in here. I really need to.
It's so peaceful in here.
It is very, very peaceful.
Do you think, is there such thing as an elemental witch?
I would think.
Yeah, because I'm almost thinking like that's kind of more what I do. Is it the elements are fire, water, air, and earth. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, wow, I actually use that probably more. Like,
you do.
Like a foundation behind what I do. Like I'm super connected to fire. There's something about it when I'm around it. It just does it for me. I'm just there, and people call me the fire keeper. I'm the one.
The keeper of the flame.
No, for real. I'm the one who does it. Mm-hmm. Where even if it's a stranger's house or like a party, that's what I do the whole time. I just take over and I just tend to the fire the whole time. Yeah. It's like, it brings me so much joy. Mm-hmm. So like that's part of it too. But there's other times where I'm like, I need to put my feet in water, or I need to put my feet in the earth, or I think wind's the one I don't work with as much. I think there's something about
I think wind is a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, and I'm already kind of inconsistent.
Me too. So I'm on that inconsistent.
Yeah, there's something I don't connect with that as much as part of like my meditation and stuff. But yeah. So those are a lot of different ones. There's definitely more. So if you do know more, please.
And there's combinations of all those. Oh yeah, all of the above.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, it's not that rigid. You know,
it's not that rigid, and it's not that difficult.
Yeah, it's rigid if you want it to be, but it doesn't have to be. But I think it being so rigid, you know, I'm not putting down anybody who practices a religion. You know, that's your choice and that's what you connect with. I feel like sometimes in the Wiccan community, it's almost too ritualistic because a huge part of people who practice Wicca, it's rituals. I think even more than most religions. Yeah. It's a lot of spells and prayers and.
Do you think a lot of that has to do with the comfort that people experience with rituals and the known?
Yes.
I think, because I always said that about Catholicism, is that there's so much ritual involved with it, and I love ritual. I think ritual is beautiful.
Yes.
I think it has its own, like, I could very easily get sucked into that.
It creates an energy.
Yeah. And I think that it creates that energy, and it also creates this predictable thing.
Yeah.
That is comfort. There is comfort in knowing what you're going to do next. There is comfort in the sacraments. There's comfort in every time you stand up or sit down in a Catholic church. You know, there's a comfort in that. And I find rituals I don't want to be in a ritual. I'm not a person who could deal with myself being ritual in that way, but I love to watch.
Oh, I love to watch.
I love the whole predictability, the ritualistic behaviors, the knowing what's going to happen next. It's like a dance. It's gorgeous.
It's like other people who love that being in their element makes me in my element because I get to watch them and learn.
I have an aversion to wanting to participate.
Oh no, because I have, and it made me so uncomfortable.
Oh my god,
so uncomfortable. And I'm like, am I supposed to be this uncomfortable? And like when people sing together. I can't.
It's weird, yeah.
I can't, like, especially, like, I've been to some, like, pagan things, and everybody's, like, in harmony and together and holding hands. I just want to fucking run.
Yeah.
I get that community. I don't need that.
I was always uncomfortable with that in the Baptist church, because I went to a little tiny Baptist church.
Oh, my God.
In the Kings Creek community down in North Carolina. And we always sang. We have our hymnals. Grab your hymnals and turn to page 19. We're going to sing this. And, we all sang together. And I think one of the things that made me most uncomfortable about it was that we don't all need to sing. There was a lady who always sat in front of me who, God bless her, she was the nicest person. And she couldn't sing a lick, man. She couldn't have sang her. My mom said she can't sing her way out of a paper bag. And you notice how I revert back to my accent when I tell these stories. But and everybody's singing together, and I was so distracted by things like that I couldn't. What the words that were being said didn't mean anything, and I can't the singing part really kind of bothers me.
It doesn't work.
My first month up here, living up north, living in New England, I went to a Catholic funeral. And you got to understand, guys, I'm from a place where there is a Catholic church, but there are 7 people that go to that church. There have always been 7 people that go to that church. It's the same damn family that goes to that church. 7 people, always. Maybe 8 or 10 when on a good day. But it's so small that the priest it's not his parish. He comes from a bigger Catholic community, 3 hours away.
Yeah.
And he comes there on Sundays. So small. I had never been to a Catholic service in my life. And here I am at this Catholic funeral.
Oh my God. Welcome to New England.
So I have this lady sitting beside me who had become my friend over the course of a month. She had befriended me. I always called her, and this is bad, but I called her my token Catholic friend. But she's like, okay, I know you're not familiar with this, so I'm going to tap you on the leg when you have to stand. Because there was a lot of sitting and standing.
It gives me a headache.
It was beautiful. I was so moved by the whole ritual piece of it. So moved by it. And really comparing and contrasting in my head, wow, that's not like we do.
Yeah.
And really focusing. I was trying to get myself educated. I was trying to really hone in on all those important things, differences, comparing and contrasting, wanting to do a Venn diagram. Doing a Venn diagram in my head. And she would tap me every time I needed to stand.
Oh my God.
And I just fell in love with the whole ritual piece of it. And leaving knowing that I could never, ever do it. Mm-mm. To watch it is art. It's beauty. It's fascinating. But to actually do it, I just couldn't. I couldn't. I'm not that. I don't know. I don't know how to say it exactly what I'm trying to say. I'm not that driven.
Yeah.
I think that there is a drive. I get what you're
saying. Yeah. Do you think, so 2 things I want to say, and I'm going to say them both out loud so I don't forget. Do you think being that ritualistic in a practice creates somebody to be too comfortable and not being able to be able to think outside the box?
Right.
And my other question is, do you find that people have an adverse reaction to you saying that you find other religions, what am I trying to say? Other religions fascinating? Like you are even...
Yeah, am I being pretentious by saying that? I think some people might take it that way. And I really, in my heart of hearts, do not mean to be pretentious. There's no pretense in that at all. My intention is not that at all. I love movement. Mm-hmm. I love movement. I think that a lot of the ritualistic piece of organized religion is beautiful because it is so much like a dance. It's like a ballet of sorts. There's music, there's movement, there's this love. You have to be to do that every week, to come in and do that every week and make that a part of your life.
Dedication, man.
That is dedication. Woo. That is focus.
Yeah.
I think it is beautiful, and I am by no means saying at all that people, that it's any less than Wicca or
I agree
less
with
than
you.
witchcraft. There's so much to admire about organized religion, being raised in organized religion. But I fear, my fear with organized religion is that it does exactly what you said. I fear that with some people, I don't think it's everybody, but I think with some people, it can be very stifling.
I think a crutch.
Yeah, I think so. But I think the damage to a person like that was done long before they embraced religion.
Yeah.
I think that organized religion may have played into that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look at all the things that have happened in the name of organized religion. I mean, the Crusades alone are a horror show that you don't even want to even think about. I mean, things like the Salem witch trials.
Correct.
In the name of religion, in the name of not being able to think outside the box. Mm-hmm. I don't even have a box.
Yeah, where is that box?
My box
we left
is
it
like
somewhere.
Yeah, my box is on the side of the road in a ditch somewhere, and it's cardboard and it's been rained on.
I left it in the hotel where I spent the night with rainbow kids. So.
Yeah, it's
that's
like
why I'm like, all right,
yeah,
box gone.
And I think sometimes maybe I misunderstand things because I don't have a box.
Yeah.
But that being said, I had a box. I lived in a box when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I know the box very well. Yeah. I've been in it. Yeah. I've fought to get out of it. And now I don't have it anymore. Yeah. But I think that there is a beauty about organized religion as well. I can't just sit here and condemn organized religion. Mm-hmm. Because part of being a Southern Baptist made me who I am right now. It's still there. Mm-hmm. I didn't take everything because I think a lot of organized religions teach, hate. And I can't dismiss that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think that there are absolutely amazing people, and I can name 100 right now who are who they are and who are the kind person that they are because of what they've learned growing up in an organized religion.
Same. Yeah.
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 I think it goes back to all about being about intention.
Yeah.
Why are you observing these rituals? Why are you doing these things? Is it because it's always what you've done?
Yeah.
Or is it because you think that what you're doing makes you a better human being?
Yeah.
If that's the case, if that's your intent,
awesome. And you can take what works for you.
Yes. And I know so many people who are in that category who do this because every day it makes them a better person.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I love that you can do that. And I love you for doing it. It's just not who I am.
Yes.
So I'm not, there's no pretense in that. It's just not who I am.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the struggle I have is because I make a conscious effort to be very accepting of other people's beliefs, other people's religion. Everything is not black and white. It's all, it's like, it's not, every religion has its good, has its bad, but it has a lot in between. So it's like, and I have experienced a lot of conflict when I talk about the beauties I find in other religions, because I find them so fascinating. And I've had a lot of conversations over the years, like, because of people's negative experiences with religion, they immediately go to the bad of it.
Yes.
And not like I'm shoving it down their throat and being like, oh, like it's so beautiful. Like, oh, like the fact I understand that it is on a spectrum, like every religion, a lot of people I talk to about it can only see the bad if they experience bad, can only see the good if they experience good. There's no in between.
I mean, look at the embattled Catholic Church. Everything that they've gone through.
Yeah.
But yet you can't say that every person who practices Catholicism is bad.
No. I think you can't. That is the most limited thinking. And, here, gonna get me angry. I have such a hard time on, like, why do you think everybody, because you had a bad experience, why are you putting down other people who make their lives better because of it? And assuming that those people are racist or hate gay people or, all of the above.
Again, generalizations leading to misunderstandings. And it's really, I mean, I look at it like, if you can worship a shoe if you want to,
Yeah, you do.
You can worship a shoe, and you can have a whole text built from that. You can sing to the shoe. You can worship the shoe, whatever you need to do. But don't tell me that I can't worship a boot.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
I don't. One of the things that kind of angers me is when people talk to me in terms of Their intent is to convert me. It's one of the problems I have with missionary work.
Oh my God.
I mean, and I'm going to go there. I'm sorry. I have to go there with missionary work.
We have to go there. This is what this is about.
I'm sorry, but if your intent to go to another country and give them food and give them water and help them learn to garden and help them learn to obtain their own food, if your ultimate goal is to turn them into your religion, then you're not doing the right thing.
It's fucked up.
It is. It is so messed up. We go to other countries and we give them food and water and education. We build schools. We do these things, which is wonderful. Yeah. But what is your intention? Yeah. If your intention is to convert them to your religion, you are not doing the right thing.
Yeah. You should be doing it because of your religion. You shouldn't be doing it
because it's the right thing. Because it's the right thing. Because these people need these things, and you want to help provide them so they can have a better life. But unfortunately, if you really examine a lot of the intent of these organizations, the intent is to convert.
Yeah. It's a power play, and it's a form of manipulation that people are taught through some churches.
I really had no intention of going here, but it's one of the things.
It needs to be said.
It's a grinding gears sort of thing.
We haven't done one in a while, so we haven't got worked up in a while.
I mean, when I first came here, I took my kids. I want them to understand all religions, so they can make an informed decision about, yes, I want to do this. No, I don't want to do this. Or, yes, I want to take parts of everything. You know, I want them to have this beautiful experience of experiencing different religions. And I took them to a church where I enrolled them in vacation Bible school.
Ooh.
And I thought, well, it's something fun to do. It wasn't fun. But I spent a lot of time in this space and waiting for them to go to class and come back out. Mm-hmm. And it was really cute. They had these little vests, and they could get pens for reading certain things, and it was really cute. And they got snacks, and they made crafts. It was really cute. But I would sit out there and wait for them because they were little. They were really little at the time. I wasn't leaving them somewhere, you know. And I would sit out there, and one day I got restless, and I started looking around at the bulletin boards in the hallway. And I saw a pamphlet on one of the bulletin boards that the front of the pamphlet said, it actually said this, "The Evils of Islam." Not only did I take down the pamphlet and throw it in the trash, I went to those classrooms and I got my kids and I said, "We won't be back."
I'm speechless.
I was so angry, and I was angry forever over this. It took me so long not to be angry over this because I don't know what you're trying to teach by these pamphlets, but that teaching is not going to reach my children. Mm-mm. So I took them out, and they never went back. Wow. It was just, I still, now I think about it and I get chills. I feel like that anger building up in me again. How can you have the nerve and the audacity to teach love and have something like that in your building? Unbelievable.
Speechless. I don't even know what to say to that.
I even had the person who runs the church message me and ask if they could come over and talk to me. And I said, no.
No, I'm good.
I said, here's what I'm going to tell you. This is what I saw. This was my impression. This is what I felt when I saw it. And this is what I don't want my kids to learn.
Yep.
And we never went back.
Nope.
Just, that's the kind of thing that bothers me. It's again, going back, and I know I've said this a million times, it's all about intention. Yeah. What was your intent?
Yeah.
Are you indoctrinating these kids into this religion to feel this way about Islam? It's so messed up.
How can a church or like an organization who is on the foundation of love, right, and acceptance,
Christian love,
preach hate and validate it, and how could, and that's, I mean, this, I know this question can't be answered, but and that it happens so much in our country, actually all around the world, actually. So it's like, how can, I love you, but
I don't love you because you're
gay,
like me,
right? Yeah, like like, you know, you can come to the church and give us money, but you'll have to sit out back, and we don't approve of your lifestyle, or like, We don't approve of your religion.
And we'll talk about you behind your back when you leave.
Yeah. How is that even you practicing a religion? Really, and just go there.
It's all about intent.
Yeah.
It's all about intent. And if your intent is not pure and your intent is not about love and compassion and bringing people together, then I don't know that that's the right religion to be practicing.
Right, but then on the flip side, devil's advocate, is what if that is love to them?
Yeah,
right?
What are they? What's love? Exactly.
Right, like we're looking at it through
what's your context?
Our lens, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe to them, that is what love is. Mm-hmm.
What is your context? It's all about context.
And it's hard to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do. Right? Like, even talking about it's hard, but it's like, I accept even people who hate like that.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand it.
I don't understand it. I don't, just because I accept it doesn't mean I approve of it. There's a huge difference, right?
Exactly. And that's what we've talked about before. Yeah. There's a huge difference between approving of something and the acceptance of it.
Yeah, and I can't look at it with, like, our brains are meaning-making machines, right? And we try to make meaning. So we take things that we've seen in other people, and if there's missing pieces, we put them on them.
We compartmentalize and departmentalize.
Yeah. So this person who hates gay people will immediately be like, this person's awful.
Bad,
this person's
terrible.
Bad.
What made them that way?
What made them that way? Like, how could they think that way?
What is their context? You know, that's what you have to sort of consider, and when you back up and you step away from the emotional piece of it, and that's what I had to step away from the emotional piece of it, because at that point, it not only did it involve me, but involved my kids, and it involved a decision I made to put my kids in this environment.
Yes, exactly.
And that was huge to me. I think I condemned myself for a long time, and my kids were little; they were like 3 and 5.
Do they even remember being there?
They remember going. Yeah. They're like, oh, remember when we went here? And, now DJ would say, oh, remember when we went here and you were an ass because you came in the classroom and you, things like that. But, but I wasn't. I went in and just took my kids.
I would have too.
No, I'm taking my kids.
Yeah, but that's also, part of learning, right? Yeah.
And we talked about it on the way home.
Yeah.
We talked about why I took them out of class. Because they were like, do we have a doctor's appointment?
Yeah. What's going on?
What's up? Dentist? What's going on? Yeah, I'm like, no, this is why. And I kind of tried my best in kid language to explain to them what happened. And my husband's more reasonable than me. He's like, well, maybe taking them out of the classroom probably wasn't the best thing. Maybe you should let them stay. And then afterwards,
never come back.
Just never come back. That was my husband. He's so much more practical than me.
Oh, I would have ran in there.
I
wouldn't have caused a stink.
No.
I would have walked in there.
I was much more controlled than I normally would have been. That was mature for me. But it took getting away from that emotional piece of it to really say, oh my God, what makes people like that? What, what is their context? How are they indoctrinated into this whole belief system? And that's not something that happens overnight. That's something that happens over decades.
Yeah.
I mean, what was Jim Jones' intent at
real.
The People's Temple?
Now that's the question of the day.
Exactly. I mean, there you go. I mean, it's you saw how many people, what was it, 900 people died in Guyana?
Drank the Kool-Aid.
They drank the Kool-Aid, which is where that whole thing came from. That whole saying came from
never heard of Jim Jones. He's a rabbit hole, that one.
Yeah, and I mean, people who lead these cults, that doesn't happen overnight.
Nope.
And it doesn't happen to people who aren't damaged.
Yes.
There's a lot of damage that goes into a person who can be indoctrinated into something like that. And I think you have to look at what makes them damaged. It could be something small, it could be something huge. But that you have to look at them as damaged, I think, a lot of times.
I think so too. Yeah, and there's great power in manipulation. Mm-hmm. And there's great power in manipulating people who are, because of trauma and damage they've experienced and experiences, there's great power in manipulating those people. Because you're filling in, I was going to say filling in holes would sound kind of dirty. But
you're filling in the gaps.
Yeah, you're filling in the gaps for these people because of this trauma, because
you're
of this damage.
Piece.
You become the missing piece. And there are people who are that smart and can do that. So it's
watch a documentary about Jim Jones and the People's Temple at some point, guys.
Or really,
there you go.
Or Wild Wild West is another one. The Rajneesh.
Yes.
One of the best documentaries.
What about the other one?
What's it called? Holy Hell.
Holy Hell. Yeah.
Guys, Holy Hell. He is still around today. This one, so that's
Scary.
a good one. Was that on Netflix?
Netflix,
Prime.
Prime.
Yeah. Netflix or Prime, I don't remember, but that was a recommendation from my mom. I know we're going off topic, but I think it all
kind of
goes
to the same thing. Yeah.
That basically we practice witchcraft because we like to learn, and
it's all about intent.
It's all about intent, and everything is energy, and I think we did good.
Wow, I feel exposed.
Got a lot in. I feel not that I'm tired, but I'm like
it was like a catharsis.
It feels good to get it out.
Yeah.
I haven't really talked about it because neither of our husbands practice.
No.
God, no.
They're like the same person. Kind of like you and I are the same person. They're sort of the same person.
And I find him so fascinating. I mean, it's why I married him, but Carson's going to be on here one day.
Yay!
And we'll be able to talk to him.
We had to entice him.
Yeah.
With some Southern food, and I still don't know which one he wants me to make yet. I can do a buffet. I gave him the option. I said chicken and dumplings, cube steak and gravy, beans and cornbread. I could do pork chops. I could do fried chicken. And he said yes.
He said yes.
And pound cake for dessert.
Oh my God. Really, I think the chicken and dumplings.
See, I'm still, regardless of what persuasion I am, I'm still a Southern girl at heart. You can take the South, you can take the girl out of the South, but you can't take the South out of the girl.
Yep. It's very true.
To get him on here, to get him on our podcast, I will make anything he wants.
Oh, yeah. So. Yeah, and I told him, too, I mean, it was his idea, too. It's just like, just tell Loria, just make some food and I'll show up. But I am so fascinated to have him speak about, even with you, his opinions on things. And he jokes a lot about the woo-woo. You'll
Roger.
My husband's hilarious when it comes to it, but he respects me, and I think he understands some of it. But I appreciate, he's taught me so much about viewing things in a different way and not just believing something blindly because I want it to be true.
That's me. That's what Roger does, is he makes me question things before I go wholeheartedly into something. He makes me question.
Because if we didn't meet them, we'd be in a cult. We say this all the time.
Yeah, we would be in a cult in California right now, probably believing in, I don't know, something.
We'll be in Jared Leto's new cult.
Yeah,
have you heard about that?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh.
He's a piece of work, man.
I used to love his band too. 30 Seconds to Mars. Not anymore. I was a kid. All right, I think this is a good place to start.
I think it's a great place. Great place. Yeah. This is such a... and we appreciate you guys listening too. We just kind of opened up. We were vulnerable. Yeah. We opened our hearts to you. So here we are in front of you.
I think that's a great place to start.
Yes.
All right. We will see you guys in next week's episode.
See you soon.
Bye.